There's something truly magical about baking bread from scratch. The aroma that fills your kitchen, the anticipation as it rises, and the satisfaction of slicing into a warm homemade loaf. It's an experience that nourishes both body and soul. So tie on your aprons, wash your hands, and let's get baking. Whole wheat bread offers a nutty flavor and wholesome goodness. Packed with fiber, vitamins, and minerals, it adds a nutritional boost to your daily bread routine. Get ready to discover the joy of baking with whole wheat flour. Let's gather our essential ingredients. We'll use 2 cups of whole wheat flour and 1 cup of all-purpose flour for a light and airy crumb. Add 1 packet of active dry yeast, 1½ teaspoons of salt, a tablespoon of honey or sugar, a tablespoon of olive oil, and 1¼ cups of warm water. With our ingredients prepped, we're ready to bake. Time to wake up the yeast. Mix 1¼ cups of warm water with a tablespoon of honey or sugar. Sprinkle the yeast over the mixture and let it sit for a minute. Stir the yeast mixture gently. Place the bowl in a warm spot and wait for it to become frothy and bubbly. This frothy mixture is key to a light and airy loaf. Watch the yeast mixture transform over 5 to 10 minutes. If it doesn't froth, check the water temperature and try again with fresh yeast. Once frothy, it's ready for the next step. Measure 2 cups of whole wheat flour and 1 cup of all-purpose flour into a large mixing bowl. Add 1½ teaspoons of salt. Our dry ingredients are ready. Pour the frothy yeast mixture into the dry ingredients. Add a tablespoon of olive oil. Mix until combined. Stir the ingredients until a rough, slightly sticky dough forms. Give the dough time to hydrate. It's ready when it pulls away from the bowl. Whole wheat dough is stickier than all-purpose dough. Add flour if too sticky, but not too much. The dough should be tacky but manageable. Lightly flour a clean surface. Turn the dough onto the floured surface. Prepare for kneading. Kneading is a simple rhythmic motion. Push the dough away, fold it over, and turn it. Repeat for 8 to 10 minutes. Kneading develops gluten strands. The dough becomes smoother and more elastic. Continue kneading until the dough is less sticky. Stretch a small piece of dough to test gluten development. If it forms a translucent window pane, it's ready. Prepare for the first rise. Our dough has been kneaded to perfection. Its gluten strands strong and elastic, ready to embrace the transformative power of yeast. Now, it's time to provide our dough with a cozy haven to rest and rise, allowing the yeast to work its magic and fill our bread with air bubbles. Grab a large bowl. It needs to be spacious enough to accommodate our dough as it doubles in size, and lightly grease it. You can use a bit of olive oil or butter for this, ensuring that the dough won't stick to the sides as it rises. This will make our lives easier when it's time to shape the dough later on. Gently transfer our beautifully kneaded dough into the greased bowl, turning it over a couple of times to ensure that all sides are lightly coated with oil. This will prevent the dough from drying out as it rises and create a lovely even texture. Now, cover the bowl tightly with plastic wrap. This creates a warm, humid environment for the yeast to thrive. The plastic wrap also prevents a skin from forming on the dough. Alternatively, use a damp kitchen towel. It provides humidity and regulates temperature. Find a warm, draft-free spot for the dough to rise. This could be near a preheating oven or in a sunny spot. The ideal temperature is around 75 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, we wait for the magic of fermentation. Yeast converts sugars into carbon dioxide, causing the dough to rise. Over the next 1 to 1½ hours, watch your dough. It should double in size, becoming puffy and light. A gentle poke should leave a slight indentation that springs back. The dough is now ready to be shaped into a loaf. Our dough has doubled in size, a testament to the silent magic of fermentation. Now it's time to gently coax it into its final form before its grand transformation in the oven. Gently punch down the risen dough. This expels some of the carbon dioxide gas that has built up during fermentation, preventing overly large air pockets in our finished loaf. Don't be too rough with the dough. A gentle hand is all that's needed. Turn the dough out onto a lightly floured surface. Using your hands, gently shape it into a rectangle about the length of your loaf pan. This will help create a uniform shape and ensure that the dough rises evenly in the pan. Now, starting at one of the shorter ends of the rectangle, begin tightly rolling the dough towards the other end. Imagine you're rolling up a scroll, tucking in the sides as you go to create a smooth, taut surface. This will give our loaf its characteristic shape and help to create a beautiful, even crumb. Once the dough is completely rolled up, pinch the seam closed to seal it securely. This will prevent the loaf from unraveling during its second rise and baking. Gently tuck the ends of the loaf underneath, creating a smooth, rounded shape. Carefully transfer the shaped loaf into a greased loaf pan, seam side down. This will ensure that the loaf rises upwards in the pan, creating a beautiful domed shape. Cover the loaf pan loosely with plastic wrap or a clean kitchen towel. This will prevent a skin from forming on the surface of the dough as it rises, ensuring a soft and tender crust. Section 4. The grace of a second rise. Place the loaf pan in a warm, draft-free spot and allow the dough to rise for a second time. This second rise, typically shorter than the first, gives the yeast one last chance to work its magic, creating a light and airy crumb. During this second rise, the dough should nearly double in size, becoming puffy and light. This typically takes about 30 minutes to an hour, depending on the temperature of your kitchen. As the dough gracefully rises, preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, or 175 degrees Celsius. This will ensure that the oven is nice and hot when our loaf is ready for baking, creating the perfect environment for a golden brown crust and a soft, fluffy interior. Section 1. The golden hour, baking the bread. Our loaf has risen, ready for the oven. Carefully place the loaf in the preheated oven. Bake until golden brown perfection. Let the aroma guide you. Section 2. Testing for doneness, a symphony of senses. After 30 minutes, check on our bread. Carefully open the oven door with mitts. The bread should have a golden brown crust. Visual cues alone aren't enough. Engage all senses to assess doneness. Tap the bottom, it should sound hollow. This indicates it's fully cooked. Use a thermometer to check temperature. Insert it into the center of the loaf. Ideal temperature is 190, 200 degrees Fahrenheit. This ensures starches are gelatinized. Trust your nose, aroma indicates doneness. A fragrant kitchen means the bread is ready. Section 3. Cooling with patience, allowing the crumb to settle. Once our bread has passed all the doneness tests, the hollow sound, the internal temperature, and the intoxicating aroma, it's time to liberate it from the oven. Carefully remove the loaf pan from the oven, using oven mitts to protect your hands from the heat. Now resist the urge to slice into that beautiful loaf just yet. As tempting as it may be, it's crucial to let the bread cool completely before slicing. This allows the internal steam to escape and the crumb to settle, resulting in a more even texture and easier slicing. Gently turn the loaf out of the pan onto a wire rack. This will allow air to circulate around the bread, promoting even cooling and preventing a soggy bottom. Let the bread cool completely for at least 1 to 2 hours, or even longer if you can resist the temptation. As the bread cools, it will continue to release steam, carrying with it the irresistible aroma of freshly baked goodness. This is a good sign that the crumb is settling and the bread is developing its final texture. Section 4. A toast to patience, slicing and savoring. After patiently waiting for our bread to cool, the moment we've all been waiting for has finally arrived, slicing and savoring. The anticipation is palpable as we grab a serrated knife. the best tool for slicing through that beautiful crust without crushing the delicate crumb, and prepare to unveil the fruits of our labor. Gently slice the loaf into even slices, revealing the soft, airy crumb within. The crust should be golden brown and slightly crisp, giving way to a tender, flavorful interior. The aroma of freshly baked bread fills the air, inviting us to take a bite and savor the fruits of our patience. Whether enjoyed warm from the oven with a simple spread of butter, transformed into a hearty sandwich, or served alongside a comforting bowl of soup, this homemade whole wheat bread is a testament to the simple pleasures of baking from scratch. Section 1. Flour Power and Sweet Secrets. Now that you've mastered the basic recipe, let's delve into some baker's secrets for elevating your whole wheat bread to new heights of deliciousness. Remember, baking is a journey of exploration, and experimenting with different ingredients and techniques is all part of the fun. First up, let's talk about flour. While our recipe calls for a combination of whole wheat flour and all-purpose flour, you can certainly experiment with different ratios to achieve your desired texture. If you prefer a lighter, airier crumb, try replacing a portion of the whole wheat flour with bread flour. Bread flour has a higher protein content, which translates to more gluten development and a chewier texture. And speaking of texture, don't be afraid to experiment with different sweeteners too. While honey and sugar are classic choices, you can also try using maple syrup or agave nectar for a slightly different flavor profile. Just keep in mind that liquid sweeteners will add more moisture to the dough, so you may need to adjust the amount of water accordingly. Now let's talk about adding some personality to your bread. One of the best things about baking bread from scratch is the ability to customize it to your liking. Want to add a boost of flavor and nutrition? Try incorporating seeds into your dough, such as sunflower seeds, sesame seeds, or even pumpkin seeds. Simply add them to the dry ingredients before mixing or sprinkle them on top of the loaf before baking for a beautiful and flavorful touch. And finally, let's talk about storage. Whole wheat bread tends to dry out faster than white bread due to its higher fiber content. To keep your loaf fresh and delicious for as long as possible, store it in an airtight container at room temperature. If you don't plan on consuming the bread within a few days, you can also freeze it for longer storage. Simply slice the bread before freezing, then pop a slice or two in the toaster whenever you're craving a taste of homemade goodness. Remember, baking, much like life, is an art, not a science. Don't be discouraged if your first loaf isn't absolutely perfect. Every baker, from seasoned professionals to enthusiastic beginners, has experienced their fair share of baking mishaps along the way. It's all part of the learning process. Embrace the imperfections, the slightly lopsided loaves, the slightly browned crusts, the occasional air pocket. These little quirks are what make homemade bread so special and unique. They're a testament to the fact that you've poured your heart and soul into creating something with your own two hands. So go forth and bake with confidence, knowing that even the most imperfect loaf of homemade whole wheat bread is 1,000 times more delicious and satisfying than anything you could buy at the store. As the aroma of freshly baked bread fills your kitchen, don't be afraid to share the love. Invite friends and family over to enjoy the fruits of your labor. There's something truly special about gathering around a table and breaking bread together, creating memories that will last a lifetime. And as you share your homemade bread, share your newfound knowledge and passion for baking too. Encourage others to embark on their own bread-making adventures, to experience the joy of transforming simple ingredients into something truly extraordinary. Because baking, at its heart, is an act of love and generosity, a way to nourish not only our bodies but also our souls. And there you have it, a beautiful, fragrant loaf of soft and delicious whole wheat bread made with your own two hands. The journey from simple ingredients to a golden brown masterpiece is a testament to the magic of baking. Share your newfound baking prowess with the world. Invite friends and family to gather around your table, to break bread together and create memories.